When people look at the skyline of a major city at night, they see a beautiful, glowing postcard. They see skyscrapers lit up in neon pinks, electric blues, and brilliant golds. They think it's just a massive light switch. What they don't understand is the sheer, terrifying engineering that makes a 100-story building glow. You are battling hurricane-force winds, extreme temperature fluctuations, and millions of watts of raw electricity. To build a dynamic lighting matrix on the face of a glass tower, you have to be a master of optics, geometry, and industrial rigging. A single miscalculation in the angle of a reflector or a 1-degree flaw in the housing, and your light doesn't shine. It shatters the glass or shorts out the entire grid. I spent my life hanging from a wire hundreds of feet in the air, ensuring that the structures I illuminated were flawless. I just never realized that while I was obsessively calculating the angles of reflection in the sky, my own marriage was completely plunging into darkness on the ground. My name is Liam. I'm 37 years old, and I am a lead architectural lighting designer and high-altitude rigger. 5 years ago, I married Chloe. Chloe was a high-powered corporate event director. She lived for the glamorous, champagne-soaked world of grand openings, VIP galas, and celebrity networking. I was the quiet, introverted engineer who spent 14 hours a day dangling in a harness, smelling like ozone and wearing a hard hat. We were complete opposites, but I thought we were building an empire. She sold the spectacle to the billionaires, and I wired the sky. For 4 agonizing years, I poured every ounce of my personal savings, my sanity, and my genius into my absolute magnum opus. I called it the Helios Matrix. It wasn't just a string of LED lights. It was a revolutionary energy-neutral optical system. It used thousands of microscopic, motorized, computer-controlled mirrors paired with focused laser emitters. Instead of wasting energy lighting up the night sky, my system bent the light perfectly, allowing a skyscraper to display hyper-realistic 8K resolution video and holograms across its entire glass facade using a fraction of the electricity. It was the absolute holy grail of urban architectural design. The patents for the micro-mirror hardware and the software engine were conservatively appraised at $25 million. I promised Chloe this technology was our golden ticket. I told her that when we licensed the system, we would build our own boutique firm, and she would be the undisputed queen of architectural events. But Chloe didn't want to build a kingdom with a guy who wore a harness. She looked in my wind-burned face and my calloused hands, and she decided she wanted the $25 million without having to share the view from the top. And she found a corporate shark who was more than willing to help her steal the lights.
The foundation of our marriage started to crack when Chloe's event agency signed an exclusive contract with a massive global real estate development syndicate. The CEO of that syndicate was a man named Sterling. Sterling was 45 years old and the absolute poster boy for real estate arrogance. He didn't know how to lay a brick, and he certainly didn't understand structural engineering. He was a ruthless venture capitalist who built massive, tasteless, 100-story glass megastructures in the desert, slapped his aggressive logo on them, and presented himself to the world as a visionary pioneer. He wore custom silk suits, flew a private helicopter to his penthouses, and treated brilliant working-class engineers like disposable minimum-wage laborers. Suddenly, Chloe was spending all her time at Sterling's Glass Tower headquarters, claiming she was restructuring his global launch strategy for a new flagship skyscraper. The red flags didn't just quietly appear, they flashed like a strobe light in a dark room. First, the profound, unapologetic disrespect. Chloe started actively belittling my life's work. "Liam, you need to wake up," she scoffed one evening, tossing her $5,000 designer handbag onto my pristine drafting table. "Sterling manages a billion-dollar skyline. He controls the culture of the city. You're just a guy hanging from a rope screwing in light bulbs. You lack corporate vision. Nobody cares about your optical physics. They care about the branding." Second, the intense, unnatural secrecy regarding her devices. Chloe changed the passcode on her phone and her iPad. She started taking crisis logistics calls in her car, sitting in the driveway with the engine running for 40 minutes before coming inside. Third, and by far the most terrifying, was her sudden, highly specific interest in my hardware vault. Chloe, a woman who absolutely loathed the mechanical hum of my servers, suddenly asked me exactly how the master DMX software communicated with the laser emitters, and if the proprietary code was stored on an encrypted flash drive.
When an event director suddenly asks for the master encryption keys to a $25 million optical algorithm, you don't answer the question. You check the rigging for a frayed line.
When you build proprietary AI technology that controls millions of watts of high-intensity lasers, you don't rely on a standard Wi-Fi password. My entire home network was routed through a custom hardware firewall that silently logged every single byte of unauthorized data moving across the local area network. One Saturday night, while Chloe was supposedly at a weekend VIP retreat in the city, my phone vibrated with a critical priority alert from my server. Someone was actively attempting to execute a mass file transfer from my secure development environment to an unauthorized external cloud locker. I didn't storm upstairs and pull the power cord. I simply isolated the connection, artificially slowed the transfer speed to a crawl to buy myself time, and mirrored her laptop screen directly to my home monitors. She had her encrypted messaging app open, communicating directly with Sterling. I didn't just find an affair. I found a premeditated, multi-million-dollar corporate heist. Sterling wrote, "My chief electrical engineers just reviewed the compressed simulation code you snuck out last week. They are completely losing their minds. The mirror logic is 10 years ahead of anything Philips or GE has. If we install this onto the facade of my new 100-story tower in Dubai and launch it on New Year's Eve, the investors will crown me a genius. Have you secured the master source code and the physical emitter nodes yet?" Chloe replied, her words dripping with a casual, horrifying cruelty that made the blood freeze in my veins. "I'm copying the master repository from his server right now. The idiot actually thinks I care about his stupid mirrors. Tomorrow, when he goes to his engineering symposium in Chicago, I'll hire a specialized transport crew to load the heavy laser arrays. We'll tell him a power surge sparked a fire in the storage unit and destroyed the hardware. He'll be completely devastated, but he won't be able to prove a thing. We launch in Dubai. I'll serve him with divorce papers the morning after, and we'll be set for life. He's just a naive electrician, Sterling. He won't be able to fight your corporate lawyers." Sterling responded, "You're a visionary, my love. The electrician is going to fund our entire empire." I sat alone in the dark, staring at the glowing monitor, as my entire reality shattered into a million pieces. My wife of 5 years was sleeping with a corporate parasite. Together, they were actively plotting to steal 4 years of my blood, sweat, and genius, intentionally hijack my masterpiece, launch it on the biggest stage in the world, and leave me utterly destroyed, believing my life's work was ashes. They thought I was just a naive electrician. They didn't understand the level of absolute, unmitigated optical destruction a master lighting architect is capable of programming.
If you want to destroy a fraudulent real estate tycoon, you don't cut his power lines. You let him steal your masterpiece. You let him install it on the face of a billion-dollar skyscraper. You let him invite the wealthiest billionaires on Earth to stand underneath it, and then you quietly turn up the heat. I didn't confront her. If I yelled and locked the server, Sterling's army of corporate lawyers would bury me in injunctions, claim they had a verbal contract to the design, and tie me up in court for a decade until I went bankrupt. I needed them to steal the hardware. I needed Sterling to proudly stand on a stage in front of thousands of investors and claim my machine as his own. So, I went to work on the firmware. To Sterling's highly paid, arrogant electrical engineers, the cloned code I left on the server would look absolutely flawless. When they ran digital simulations, it would perform beautifully. When they plugged the laser arrays into the skyscraper's power grid in Dubai, the mirrors would align, and the 100-story tower would display their beautiful corporate logos and fireworks animations perfectly. But deeply embedded in the absolute foundational math of the optical calibration protocol, buried so deep in the hex code that no QA tester on Earth would ever find it, I wrote a logic bomb. I knew Sterling's massive ego. I knew that at the absolute climax of his New Year's Eve grand opening, he would trigger the Nova sequence, a massive, synchronized blast of pure white light meant to simulate a rising sun over the city. I coded the mirror logic so that when the motherboard received that specific DMX sequence, the payload would execute. It wouldn't just shut the lights off. It would violently invert the focal points of the thousands of micromirrors. Instead of dispersing the laser light safely across the sky, the mirrors would instantly synchronize and focus every single high-intensity beam of light into one incredibly concentrated, blindingly hot focal point. And I programmed that focal point to target the exact GPS coordinates of the VIP presentation stage at the base of the tower.
It wouldn't start a massive fire, but it would create a localized, blinding beam of concentrated heat and light, instantly melting the plastic stage equipment, popping the champagne glasses, and physically driving Sterling off his own stage. And as a final touch, I routed the system to display a massive 100-story text file across the entire building. I finalized the patch. I packed my bags for the convention in Chicago. I kissed Chloe goodbye. "Have a great trip, Liam," she smiled, handing me my coffee. "Take care of the house, Chloe," I replied, looking her dead in the eyes. "You know that project is my masterpiece." "I'll guard it with my life," she promised. I drove away. I let her bring the thieves into my sanctuary. I let them steal the bomb. Now, they just had to flip the switch.
I didn't stay in Chicago for the symposium. I went straight to the offices of the most aggressive, ruthless intellectual property and corporate fraud litigator in the Midwest. I sat down at his mahogany conference table. I handed him my original, time-stamped code logs, the high-definition security footage, and the crystal-clear iCloud transcripts of Chloe and Sterling explicitly conspiring to steal the files and fake a fire in my storage unit. And finally, I handed him the official, federally approved patent documentation for the Helios Matrix, which I had secretly expedited and secured exclusively in my own name a month prior. My wife and her accomplice are going to illegally utilize stolen, patented optical hardware to illuminate a 100-story skyscraper in Dubai this Saturday for New Year's Eve, I told my lawyer calmly. My lawyer reviewed the documents, read the chat logs, and slowly smiled like a shark smelling blood in the water. "Liam, utilizing stolen, patented engineering hardware to solicit hundreds of millions of dollars from international investors is massive, willful federal fraud. If he presents this to boost his corporate valuation, we won't just sue him. Interpol and the international authorities will literally liquidate his entire real estate empire." "Draft the paperwork," I said, "but do not file the injunction yet. Do not stop the opening. Let him turn the lights on. I want him to put his face on it in front of the whole world." On Wednesday afternoon, my phone notified me that my storage unit had been breached. Through the hidden cameras, I watched Sterling's logistics team illegally load my $1 million laser arrays into a truck. Chloe then staged a small electrical fire in the corner of the unit, completely destroying my spare tools. She left a white envelope containing divorce papers on a charred desk and walked out without looking back. They were laughing. They thought they had just executed the perfect, untouchable heist, but they had no idea they had just installed a ticking optical weapon onto their own building.
Saturday night, live from Dubai, New Year's Eve. I sat in my dark hotel room, watching the high-definition global broadcast on my monitors. The live stream had over 3 million viewers. Sterling was hyping up the crowd, pacing back and forth across the pristine VIP stage at the base of the tower, absolutely dripping with unearned confidence. The camera panned to the crowd, and I saw Chloe standing there, holding a glass of champagne, looking incredibly proud, believing she had just secured a billion-dollar empire. The 100-story skyscraper towered behind Sterling, dark and waiting. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sterling announced into his microphone, his voice oozing with arrogance. "Tonight, we don't just open a building, we redefine the sky. Thanks to my brilliant engineering team, I present to you the future of architecture." The crowd went absolutely wild. "And now, to ring in the new year," Sterling grinned, holding up a sleek remote control, "let there be light." He pressed the button to initiate the Nova sequence. I looked at the screen. I knew the optical geometry. My logic bomb executed. In a fraction of a millisecond, the software forcefully overrode the local user network. High above, thousands of micromirrors violently snapped into their new positions. On the live global broadcast, right in front of the most elite crowd on Earth, the magic violently died. Instead of a beautiful, dispersed display of lights, every single high-intensity laser emitter on the building focused into one blindingly bright, hyper-concentrated beam. The beam hit the VIP stage exactly where Sterling was standing. It was like a magnifying glass focusing the sun. The sheer, intense heat and light instantly blinded the cameras. The thick plastic casing of the podium began to violently smoke and melt. A crystal champagne glass on a nearby table shattered from the intense thermal stress.
Sterling shrieked in sheer terror, dropping his microphone, covering his eyes, and physically diving off the podium as the intense beam scorched the stage where he had just been standing. The VIP crowd screamed in horror, scrambling backward, lifting their arms to shield their eyes from the blinding glare. "What the hell is happening?" Sterling screamed, scrambling on his hands and knees on the floor, totally unhinged, looking up at the tower in absolute panic. Then, the focused beam dissipated. The mirrors rapidly realigned, but they didn't project fireworks. Spanning the entire 100-story height of the skyscraper, spelled out in massive, unmistakable blazing red letters for the entire city of Dubai to see, was a simple message. Stolen intellectual property. Sterling, last name, is a fraud. In the front row, Chloe dropped her champagne glass. It shattered on the marble plaza. She put her hands over her mouth, her face turning the color of wet concrete, staring up at the massive, glowing confession in pure horror. The elite investors in the crowd stared at her in absolute disgust. The livestream chat completely broke. 3 million people had just watched a CEO nearly incinerate himself and confess to corporate theft on a 100-story billboard. I took a slow, deeply satisfying sip of my coffee, smiled at the chaotic livestream, and texted my lawyer, "Kill the lights."
You cannot unproject a 100-story confession in the middle of Dubai on New Year's Eve. The fallout was an absolute, unmitigated, scorched earth massacre. The video of the laser beam and the giant glowing text went viral globally within 10 minutes. By Sunday morning, Sterling was the biggest laughingstock in the history of global real estate. The wealthy investors who had funded the skyscraper immediately pulled their money and filed massive lawsuits against him for gross negligence, fraud, and reckless endangerment. But the real fatal blow came from the authorities. Because Sterling had utilized stolen, patented hardware to solicit hundreds of millions of dollars and then endangered a public crowd with high-intensity lasers, the Dubai police and international authorities launched an immediate investigation. His real estate empire completely collapsed. His bank accounts were frozen, he was ousted as CEO, and he was indicted for massive corporate fraud, facing years in prison. Chloe's life was vaporized. Sterling, realizing he was facing total ruin, immediately blamed her. He told investigators that she was a rogue event director who had supplied him with the stolen, malicious technology without his knowledge. He threw her to the wolves to save himself. She called me from a hotel room in Dubai, sobbing so hard she was hyperventilating. Liam, please. The investors are suing me. Sterling dumped me. The lights nearly burned the stage. You have to tell them you made a mistake with the code. Please, I have nothing." "I didn't make a mistake, Chloe," I said calmly, leaning back in my chair. "I gave you exactly what you stole. You just forgot to check the focal points. I have the video of you starting the fire, by the way. Check your email. You've been served with a federal IP lawsuit. Enjoy the dark." I hung up and blocked her number. During our divorce settlement, she had absolutely zero leverage. Because she was facing criminal charges for corporate espionage and arson against me, the judge awarded me 100% of the marital assets and denied her any alimony. She walked away with millions in legal debt and a felony record.
It's been almost 3 years since that catastrophic opening in Dubai. After the dust finally settled and the lawsuits were paid out, I licensed the real, fully functioning, flawless source code for the Helios Matrix. I didn't sell it to a flashy real estate developer. I sold the exclusive rights to a legendary, highly respected global architectural firm, a company that actually understands optics, respects the physics, and treats its creators like true partners. I made enough money from that single contract to buy my own massive commercial testing facility, hire a full team of engineers, and my business has never been better. Last I heard, Chloe avoided a long prison sentence by taking a plea deal, but she is completely blacklisted from the luxury events and PR industries globally. She is currently working at a budget wedding venue in a strip mall, adjusting cheap string lights, knowing every single day that she voluntarily threw away her golden ticket to the absolute top of the industry. Sterling, completely bankrupt and ruined, is currently serving a 7-year sentence for massive securities fraud. He has no skyscrapers, no bespoke suits, and definitely no lasers. If there is a lesson to be learned here, it's a simple one. Never try to hijack a system if you don't know the architect who controls the light.
If your partner thinks they can steal your hard work, push you into the shadows, and take the spotlight for themselves, don't try to pull the plug. Don't fight them for the server. Smile, hand them the hardware, let them wire up their massive glass castle, and let them confidently invite the whole world to watch. And right when they think they've conquered the sky, just focus the beam and watch their entire fake reality burn away. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this one, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments, what's the most embarrassing technological failure you've ever witnessed? Stay sharp, trust the math, and always check your focal points.